Now, I mean, you could do hustle on both. It's pretty cool. I mean, if you're using hustle, Max, you should feed it your 60-day stuff because he like adapts to whatever your style is. So if I'm using moving averages, he's adapted to that style. Um, and so as a trader, like whatever your things are that you're doing, show it to him because he has to figure it out. So like if you say like, oh, like what are your thoughts on this price? Like he'll give you his price. But if you want to give like your little spin into it and kind of use hustle a little bit to your side, give it some, as computer brain was saying, like give it some actual charts to look at, and you can like screenshot and like paste the stuff in.
Yeah.
And you give them kind of like, here's like a past setup that worked, and here's what my style is, and you help them understand that. You got to like explain it to them. So 60-day cycles, this, here's the low around this time period, whatever you want to feed it to him.
Yeah, let
Okay. And
me
then he
let
like,
me
and then you say like, save it in your memory. So like he kind of will remember that as you. And then I would give him like a new, like, okay, let's look at just something simple, like say, right.
Mhm.
And don't influence him at all, but just say like, what are your thoughts on it? And you have to give him like a chart to look at, or tell him the current price and like where the high and the low are or something. So like price just hit this target, it came back to this target, it's sitting here. What are your thoughts? You give him that and just let him go crazy, and he'll use your 60-day cycle kind of stuff with it just automatically, and he'll give you kind of like, here's your thoughts on it. And then you got to refine it from there. So like after he gives it to you, then now you're going to nitpick it a little because like it's just, you're just starting fresh with him. So now what you want to do is, if he's like, oh, it should be this target, it say, well, why? Like, why are you giving me this target? Like, question it, and you're gonna have to like peel it back a little bit.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. Yeah, let me prepare something for the next stream, like how to guide to integrate a 60-day trading style into the hustle ecosystem and get signals and possible entry levels in that timing zones, maybe bottom indicators, um, target zones for expansion. That would be awesome.
The way I kind of see him is, I think of him as like a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys are coming up with your own setups all the time. Don't let him influence that. Like, don't just say like, hey, here's Bitcoin, what do you think's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
You got to like come with something to the table. So like I just saw this happen on Bitcoin like today. We just wicked down to 117. I was like showing him kind of charts, and I was like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, after I kind of like laid the groundwork, and he's like, I think we're going to just chop around here like 119 to 117 for the next couple of days. You get to the weekend, and then he's like, you'll probably end up running to a new all-time high next week. So that was kind of like his,
His take. Yeah.
kind of thoughts. So and for me, it was like, do I rush into a trade right now? Do I like jump into this like 117 area? Like I don't want to miss the long. And it was, for me, it was sort of like, well, maybe I got some time, because when a big imbalance like this happens, the market does sort of range a little bit. So it's probably not going to be reversed right now and not go to all time high. And I'm going to be like, I missed it. So for me, I'm like, I could be patient today. I can kind of just watch the price action. But like if I didn't have him, I'd probably be panicking. Like, I got to get into a position, and I'm going to get chopped up probably throughout today. And so he's kind of like I see him as a nice mentor. Is kind of, he's non-emotional, non-biased, and he just says like, here's what I see. Here's what usually happens. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, let's just chill for a little bit and kind of watch price for a little bit. So I kind of use him from that perspective in trading.
I think that would be the exact use case when it comes to 60-day cycle lows, because when is really the point you pull the trigger? When you don't want to rush in and catch a knife too early. Maybe he can help with that and provide additional levels to orientate, to invalidate longs or to validate them out of a 60-day cycle low, and also determine some cycle targets. I need to play around with that and train him on that. And yeah, actually, let's do a tutorial for that. I think it's great. I want to see what he does. Maybe I should combine it also in the 60-day cycle channel and add his report to that. Okay, so computer bear, do you want to share something hustle related?
Yeah, let's just go into some setups and see if we can use Hustle to, at least tell us what he thinks of these setups and how we can find more things like that. And I don't want this to be like super congratulatory on my part. I'm gonna just show winning, two winning setups, and actually maybe I'll show a losing setup too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we can see if we can get better. So I guess I'll just talk about Solana. Was a really good trade that I took. When was this? This was. Let's zoom in a little bit. This is Pepe. Let's look at Solana first. Solana was on the 12th, which was 2 days ago. Um, it looks kind of similar to Pepe, which is why I was a little confused. Um, Basically, the gist of this is, we were reclaiming a high time frame level here. I know my chart's a little bit messy here, but this downtrend here I thought was really well pronounced, and it was right above this level that we had already tapped. 184, call it, I think is really, really key on Solana. So I was waiting here. I was watching open interest and I was watching CBD. And usually, when these things both move in tandem, it's like something you just don't fade. It's kind of like everyone's in the same direction. Like we kind of had pushed down to a level, everything kind of flattened out, and then we just started to, trend upwards at the same time. I was seeing small little bit of vol spikes here, right beneath this level, and I said, okay, all right, I'm gonna long here this breakout. I'm gonna put the stop right beneath this candle. I also saw that there was a little bit of a confluence with this 45-minute cloud, which is the 50 period EMA SMA combined with super trends. You don't. I just think of it as 50 period moving average basically, and I was just targeting the next high time frame level, which is kind of easier to see if you zoom out. I mean, look, this is the rejection point. This is the projection point. And the reason I marked this here before also is it was a rejection point over here in Q124. So it was a kind of a good level to kind of target. Um, but you know, let's ask Hustle what he thinks of this setup and what else was going on under the hood. So, per Mav's guidance, I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I'm going to open my agent Hustle. How do I? Oh, upload image. Awesome. Drag and drop images. Can I just hit paste?
Yeah, you almost have to like save it to your desktop or something and then drag it in. So like if you like take a screen, like if you copy it, you can't paste it in, but if you save it to your screenshot or your desktop, you can throw it in there
Okay.
and you can see it. You can also do like whatever contract address you're looking at. So if it's like Solana, if there's
Yeah.
contract address, like you can send him that and then he can analyze it that way too. So I
Yeah.
usually do both. Like here's
I
what it
think
looks like,
honestly,
here's
what I'm gonna
contract
do,
address,
maybe I'll
and then
just be
he
like, all right, um, tell me everything you see um, on Sol USDT uh, when it broke out on August 12, 2025, and expanded from 179, which is about where I got in, to the 204 region. From 179 to the 204 region. What is obvious and what might not be obvious? Exclude kind of fluffy narrative indicators and only include technical and order flow indicators.
and and don't get too wordy. So like he really does really well if you give him kind of just a little bit of pieces. So if you can give him a bunch of stuff, go for it. But like if you feel like it doesn't make sense or something, like just break it into two or something.
Okay, that's good feedback. So I'll verbally kind of read it. I'm sure you guys can see this too. Um, but obvious indicators, volume surge. So that was something I noted that I saw. Resistance break. I guess the horizontal or the diagonal trend line break may not have been obvious to everyone, but it was something that I saw as well. Momentum acceleration. I wasn't looking at RSI specifically on the lower time frame, so that's something I wasn't looking at. And VWAP reclaim. Okay, that's something that I'm going to quickly just ask him, which VWAP are you
Yeah, that would have been my question too. Which VWAP has he used?
Yeah, because I mean, you can literally VWAP anything: daily, weekly, monthly, rolling 30, rolling whatever.
Mm-hmm. He took all of them.
I think it's referring to
The daily VWAP around
yeah,
175.
yeah. I think yeah, the daily or the session, which I think would be the same thing. So yeah, so every day, there's a lot of people will have their VWAP reset to the UTC Open, and they'll see what price does from there. A lot. That's what pretty much every scalper does. So okay, got it. So that's a very low time frame thing, though. The daily VWAP is reclaimed, every single day without a really crazy breakout like we had. So that I would say would be added confluence, but wouldn't be the reason to take a big trade. Bid stacking, deep bid support building below the breakout level. All right, let's go to the non so obvious TPO. So this is actually really important. This is something that you can only kind of see when a trend is in progress. But what happened on Solana is there's a saying, you never fade single prints that are in progress, meaning that price ripped up so quickly that it left behind a lot of inefficiencies in the charts. And we retested a bunch of those today, but while it was happening, it's something you don't want to fade. And this is actually a really, really good point. And I'll just pull this on. I want to make sure this is right. Yep, auto. So I was looking at TPO. Oops, that is not it. That's it. So this is the breakout right here. So what I circled was the days leading beforehand. I was actually just analyzing the post trade and what happened. This was the breakout right here. I'll just mark the trade on the chart just so everyone can see. That was about where I entered, and my stop was beneath this level here. Yeah, it was like a here. And I targeted 204, which is like right here. Okay, so that was the trade. What happened? If you were late to this, I was waiting for this trend line breakout right here. So I was like, I just knew I wanted to be in this. But as it was going here, you could have seen that these inefficiencies were being taken, and you could have just maybe tried to get in. And candidly, when these things happen, it's probably a positive EV idea. If you were late, even you could do something like this and just say, hey, fuck it. I'm here. Put your stop below these single prints, and just, you can still even have the same target. It's not as good a target, but that's still a 3R trade right here. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. But frequently, when things are ripping up this quickly, and they're leaving a wake of inefficiencies behind, they won't retest them that day. And if they do, it's probably a pretty weak breakout. So that's just something to keep note of. But that's kind of cool that it talks about that. Cumulative delta showing accumulation to the visible breakout. That's another interesting one. Delta divergence. Tell us more about the delta divergence 2 to 3 hours before the visible breakout. What is the best way to spot this for future setups? I'm just going to keep reading while it types.
So while you're doing that, what's interesting is that you're training your hustle and how your methodology is. It's very unique. Every trader is super unique, right? You can't just copy and paste someone else's stuff and try to make it work. So like your style is different from mine, but like he's going to magnify your style. So like how you look at things and how you see things, he's going to remind you on stuff. And the best thing about it is when you try to stray from your stuff, he'll keep you honest. I mean, like how many times have, like you were just talking about it, like if you didn't get on like this right time, you missed it, like, you know, he's not going to be like, oh, jump in right now, you can still catch it. You know, like,
Yeah.
he's going to be like, no, like this is the setup, this is what we talked about, like you're, you know, he'll give you other options, scenarios like, well, look for this instead, you know, like there's a probability this is going to happen and you can jump in here instead, like, and then you just plan it from there. So I think it's helped me a lot from that because, you know, emotion kills you in trading. And like today was a great example. Like I had shorts open last night. I closed them, of course, right before the nuke. And I was going to bed. I'm like, I just don't want to watch these. So I closed them. I woke up this morning and I'm like, holy shit, it's 117. Um, and I was like, that's kind of what I was looking for. That's the trade I was like focused on. But I didn't execute everything perfectly, right? I closed out, and but then your emotion takes over of like, well, what am I supposed to do now? Well, it's supposed to recover, but I didn't plan for it to happen right now, and I wasn't ready. And this is where you can like easily jump into a trade and stuff. And so, you know, I was like talking to him, and he kind of said like, just let it range. So I was like, okay, you know, and it kind of kept me from like jumping into something right away to be like, do I got to get into this or not, and get chopped up. I'm monitoring the price for the next like couple hours, you know. So he does good stuff like that, but he's going to be taking how you see things, and he's going to just continue to you'll mold him into like a little quant for yourself.
Yeah. No, that's really, really helpful to understand. And I noticed that the more that I talk back to him and tell him things, it actually listens. Like I don't think every AI does that. Like, you know, ChatGPT, I feel like the more and more I use it, the more I'm realizing it's giving me wrong answers. And the problem with Grok too is I think at least for trading, Grok is good for other things, but I think with trading, Grok obviously it sweeps Twitter, and there's a lot of idiots on Twitter who are talking about things, and I think it messes up the information that it spits out. It basically gives you whatever the consensus is on Twitter. So that's why I really like using Agent Hustle more than ChatGPT or Grok because I think it really is just focused on trading and analyzing actual chart data and order flow data and whatnot. It's pretty accurate too. And what I'll notice from ChatGPT, just to talk about like reasons why you would use this over other AIs, is I've noticed that ChatGPT will frequently just give like platitudes. It won't actually be looking. I'll be like, what? Like, why is price expanding? They're like, oh, because it was compressing, or like it's like things where it isn't actually looking at the chart. It's just kind of like saying what it thinks it should say. Um, I don't know. Like if you use it a bunch, you can kind of know what I mean. I'm like you aren't even looking at the chart. You're just kind of just saying shit that you heard other people say. Um, but anyways, this is really interesting, and I think maybe just from an educational standpoint, um, just quickly we can talk about this delta divergence. I think I know exactly what this is, and I'll show it on the chart, and hopefully this will educate some other people. I'm just pulling up VLOW. And I'm going to bring it back over here. Put this on Sol.
Actually, I just wanted to say I know exactly
Yeah.
from what you're talking about when talking about other AIs like ChatGPT or Grok using for trading. I wouldn't recommend it. It's really terrible. It messes up. Sometimes it doesn't know what day is today and just
Yeah.
uses completely different price actions. Um, and it cannot keep your context that good. I think they did a great job with the context preservation on Hustle for the active chat. Because as said, it remembers stuff. And that that's what makes it unique. I think the clean database and the context preservation.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely noticing. I'm noticing that it's the best one to use for this, and I've tested a bunch. But just really quick on the delta divergence, just so people can tie in some like education to the trading education into the hustle. So what it's saying here is so this is right before the trade went off. So it was a flat price action. And well, I'll just put these indicators on. It's might be a lot, but basically this is open interest, this is spot CBD, and this is perp CBD. And what I'm seeing here is price flattens, and you're starting to get some smart money trying to pump this up a little bit. You see, this is Binance in yellow, giving little spikes of buying here, little spike of buying there. Spike here on that's also this is also Binance down here on perps, and then Hyperliquid here. Bybit is not really doing much, and Coinbase isn't really doing much. But then you have this kind of move, and aligned with OI, there's no divergences. It's just kind of all in the same direction. And then this is kind of like full confirmation. You get these kind of vertical moves in CBDs, and then there's still a lot of meat on that trend. Like you could get in here at 186 and still get up into the 200s. So that's what it's kind of saying here. A big down selling period. All the CBDs were negative. Pushing price down. It couldn't push price down further, and then price flattens as some of these are starting to pump up, like giving a precursor. So that's all that Agent Hustle is saying with this. I'm kind of like interpreting this. But maybe next what I'll do is let's see if we can compare different setups and see what was different and what was the same. Does that sound like unless there's any more things you guys want me to feed it on Solana on this setup? I might just show it one more setup and then ask, like, can you compare and contrast these two setups?
Well, I think it's difficult in hindsight to ask him about stop loss and take profit levels, right? We should at least maybe schedule one trade with Hustle, mark it on our charts, and see next stream how it would have performed. That would be an interesting task.
Yeah.
Like
collecting data on how often it's right.
Yeah. It's a difficult.
So I'll add that like there's no limit to like what you guys want to ask this thing. Like push the limits. Like whatever you want to do, just like throw it to him. And then like I said, once you kind of hear the response or something, like just walk him through it. If it's a little bit off because you understand, your side of something, then just kind of highlight it for him. So like, well, what about this? Let him kind of like dig through it a little bit. But like, yeah, I would say the fun thing about this thing is I've like thrown so much stuff to it, and it adapts very, very well, and it like pulls information that's extremely accurate. And I'm like, I don't even know where they're pulling this stuff, but like his targets and stuff have been really, really good for trading.
Yeah. Maybe what we can ask him is what his bias is on Solana. It's general high time frame bias, and when is the bullish bias, if he has a bullish bias now, is invalidated. So, for example, losing that level here with momentum or stuff would invalidate my bias on Solana going forward.
Yeah, usually how I do it is I'll give like a screenshot, or I will give him the contract address, and then he can look historical stuff, and I'll say, I'll just paste that, and I'll say thoughts. That's it. And I'll let him like come up with whatever. And then I can kind of like peel away layers, like, well, have you thought about this? Or did you look at this? Or, it looked like it bounced off this moving average. Like it just kind of like I'll add some additional things and then kind of see what he thinks from there. But he's pretty good if I just say something very basic, like, here's the contract address, what do you think? And he'll like come up with his own stuff.
Maybe he's good because he is unbiased when he starts, right? Because when an agent starts to analyze, he is initially completely unbiased. He does not want his portfolio to grow or has any financial problems or stuff like that. He just starts and states facts, right? Okay, immediate.
Yeah, he'll do that for you too. But like if you were like, let's say you asked him, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin? Here's, price action or contract address or whatever. And then you kind of hear that. What my point is, then you would say, well, the 60-day cycle I've been tracking, it looked like the low was, what was that, a couple of days ago, max or something. So, your thoughts on how it plays out over the next couple, like 30 days or something, you can like ask him like that and then see what he says, So you get like a little spin specific to like how you analyze things and look at stuff. like your trading specifics.
Yeah. I think
So
you should ask him
you can
what he
read it right here.
thinks about the retail participation increasing. I saw that unique wallets, up to 11% in 24 hours. Is that because people start panicking? Is retail panicking into a low?
Yeah, this is we have to clarify, like, what do you mean unique wallets are up 11.7% in 24 hours? I just don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Let's see what it says.
Usually, how I've seen it on like low time frame. I mean, like for not low time frame, but like in the trenches. When he tells me that, he's looking at like how many different wallet addresses are accumulating that coin. So if there's more wallets, like more holders associated with it, they're just fresh, unique wallets that he can see on chain um, that are grabbing it. So like, I've seen that before, but like more like lower market cap kind of stuff that I'm analyzing. Like I've never asked him on Solana, but he probably is able to see like the holder count and like how many people have fresh wallets or how many people have open wallets with Solana in it.
You see what it means?
Yeah.
It's just people who interacted with it. It doesn't. At first I was like, "There's no way 11.7 or whatever. There's no way this many people created new wallets in 24 hours." No, but that's not what it means. It just means that people were messing with their wallets, buying or selling. It's basically a metric of volume, which makes a lot of sense. Because we had just an insane drive up and an insane drive down in the last 24 hours. So that makes total sense. Um, let's be more specific. Do you think this unique 24-hour wallet increase is bullish or bearish for price action in the next 7 days? Because it could just mean distribution, but it thinks it's bullish. Okay.
You can ask
It's
him that.
activity. It's people remembering
I
they have a phantom wallet and they want to do something. It could also be
yeah,
on-chain activity picking up a ton.
I ask him that all the time. Is this accumulation or distribution? And he'll tell you. He's really
That's
good at
cool.
spotting
That's
trends and
cool.
stuff like that. So like, I mean, like I said, I play with that a lot on the trenches because the cabal, they're always distributing and they keep the volume price of a coin at a certain level, and people think like, oh, it's going to go to the next level, so you're buying in before they like just dump it. And he's so good at it because he'll be like, oh, these wallets are distributing, stay away. I'm like, okay, perfect. So he's really good about that. So if you ask him, he'll come up with that.
This is awesome. I mean, this is really incredible. Early accumulation phase. All right, you heard it here first. We're still early. I mean, look, the way I trade, I'm not, my success is not from holding shit from a long period of time unless it's spot. And I do have spot Solana, so this is endearing.
Did you already ask him for like a setup on Solana?
No, let's do that. So, if I'm targeting another 10% move.
Oh no. Just say, hey, I'm thinking of a long. What would be just like have him pull it for you, and he'll tell
Like
you
any
like,
long, like
yeah, just say like, okay, let's do a long on Solana. What would be my entry? What's my stop loss? What are my targets? And let him give it to you. Watch this.
got to be nice to your AI bots just in case they take over and enslave us all.
Oh yeah, I say please and thank you all the time.
So I guess, yeah, price is right there right now. You can kind of see it here.
And the reason why, how do you do
Actually
it this
really interesting.
way?
These targets are super super smart. I mean I know the chart very well. This would definitely, if I was longing it now, be my first area of interest, and this is the area that I've marked out. There's some single prints at 220 that I probably would take profit into again.
The reason why I
I don't know about
told you
this
to do
one.
it this way is because if you kind of say like, "Hey, what would I do to get like a 10%?" He'll just tell you that, like he'll answer your question, but you're not seeing like the full picture, you know? So that's why I was like, tell him like a wider range. And then from here, you can nitpick. So, like, for that 10% move, you can ask them, like, what are the chances of that happening today or tomorrow or whatever, Like, you can, like, go from there and kind of see, like, you know, where things might play out if you want to dive into, like, your specific question.
Makes total sense.
The crazy thing about this is that it's been so accurate for, like, my trading that I become, I won't say like relying on it, but like I'm rely on tossing my thoughts to him consistently. So like I come up with my setup, and then I'm like, hey, so what do you think? And I don't know if I become like a better trader because I'm like more patient now because of him. Like I don't know. Like I've changed a little bit with hustle and how I trade, but like my core how I trade hasn't changed, and that's kind of how I've kind of ingrained like the stuff with him. So it's not like I wouldn't trust it like to be like, oh, just like do trades for me. But it's been like scary accurate where I'm like, I could. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's incredible. I mean, dude, it for other reasons too. I think using hustle could make you a better trader. Like specifically, like everything you said, but also like it makes you slow down a little bit. I think a lot of people get into trouble being really impulsive, like, all right, fuck it, like let's just long this shit, and versus being like, all right, let's pros and cons. What do you think? And not trying to like make it biased. I think that's actually really important. Like kind of what you're saying about don't try to influence its decision making. Like let it tell you what it thinks, and then you can like ask it questions and whatnot. I think that's really important because if you're like, as you said, find me a 10% long right now, like it's probably going to spit out some garbage. But if you like let it think on its own, it's going to give you, I think, a more intellectual answer.
And then how you would do it from here. So this is just like how I've done stuff is, let's say we take this long. He's great at helping you manage your position. So you're taking a swing long position, and let's say in the next week there's a lot of chop. Your stop loss hasn't hit, but it's getting really close to it or something. You can ask him, and he'll just be blatantly honest with you. Like, you might get more emotional, right? You might be like, oh, this is it. I'm just going to close it out here, And he'll be like, no, like, it still looks fine. Like, just chill. So I think he's really good at helping you manage positions because emotion is always running high when you're seeing dollars fly, go up really green, going down the really red. And Ethereum, like yesterday, I was doing some trades with him, and it was choppy in the 1700 range, right? Before it just broke down. So it was distributing. And, I kept trying to like work with it, and it was like, well, we were trying to target like, it was like 47. Sorry, not sorry, I said 700, but like 47. Yeah, 4700 area. And so I was like trying to push for 5,000. So I was like, are we gonna do that like now? And it was like, no, it's just not gonna happen. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like, as bullish as I am right now, it's just not gonna happen. Like, look for a pullback, which happened. So he was good at saying like, it's distributing. Like, you'll probably see some downside targets. It didn't. His downside targets were not as like low as it wicked out, but that was kind of what he was thinking. So it got me from being, I'm not going to long my longs and max long at the very top. It kept you grounded. So it helps you when you're managing positions too.
God, it's so cool. I'm seeing the possibilities here. I've used this not enough, basically. I've been using it, but I'm seeing now more how you're using it, and I'm really liking it. And I'm liking how it seems to be getting better. Do you guys have time if we do one more where I show it a good trade and then a bad trade on the same pair and ask it what was different? I haven't done
Sure.
that yet.
Let's get it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's pull up Trading View again. Everyone's favorite Pepe. So uh, let me pull this back up. I was trying to. Where were all these? Yes. Yes, these were them. So these are two different trades. Oops, no, I want to just hide this. These were two different trades I took. This was one trade and this was one trade. This was a very good trade, and this was not a good trade. I got stopped out twice on this. So what I'm going to ask it, and this is the identical trade to Solana. This was pretty similar. This I guess this was a different time frame. This is a couple days earlier, but same exact setup, trend line break, high time frame reclaim, and then kind of zooming in on a low time frame, getting very granular execution. And then here was I missed the pump, and there was more distribution happening, and I thought that it would go higher, but candidly, I think this needed more time to cook. That's like my take of this, but let's see what Hustle thinks of this. So this trade was on Friday the 8th, and this trade was on Wednesday the 13th. So let's go back to this. Okay. I would like you to analyze Pepe USDT on Friday, August 8th, 2025, and I guess this is yesterday, and August 13, 2025. I longed the USDT both days. The attempt on the 8th was a successful trade. The trade on the 13th was a loss. Tell me what was different. Matt? What do you think of that prompt? Is that kind of how you would?
Sorry, give me a second.
I just don't want it to be biased.
Maybe you give
Yeah, let me
him
look at
your
it.
exact entries.
I like to analyze Pepe USD on Friday, along Pepe both days.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Max.
I think he needs to see either send him a contract address or send him a screenshot.
Yeah, Pepe.
Yeah, like if you give him that or something, that's perfect. Like just give him a screenshot or something.
I'm missing to give him the price. I haven't.
Okay, yeah, price is perfect. You just tell him what happened. So like this is what
Yeah.
happened on that day. It ran up here,
Prices or so.
or whatever, so he can kind of understand the flow of like what was happening during that time period. I think if you have a contract address, like that helps a ton because he can just see all.
You think even for something like this, where it's like
Pepe,
this is like a
absolutely.
major billion-dollar
Yeah,
coin?
yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay. Let me.
I was doing Ethereum the other day.
And you gave Ethereum's contract address?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me
Lol.
just figure out what.
I never copied Ethereum's contract address.
I had to. It took a while. I was like, "Where is this thing?" I was like
Yeah.
googling it.
That's what I'm literally doing in the other screen. Contract address. Lol. These are perp trading problems. This is like second nature if you're in the trenches.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because like these like all came from the trenches, right? So like Pepe before it like got to an exchange, and so it's like Hustle's like great in the trenches, so he's just as great like at these big ones too because you give him the contract address and he does the same kind of analysis for it.
Yeah, this is it. This is hilarious. All right, I found it. So funny. All right, I'll do it like this, just so it isn't.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. My entry on the 8th was 0.0111. And my entry on the 13th was 0.0122. All right. This will be interesting. I like it telling me what it's doing. It's kind of fun. It's like I'm searching, I'm doing this, I'm gonna do that. Early breakout phase. So yeah, I knew these were similar setups, which is, it's kind of like my bread and butter setup. Chasing the move. Failed trade characteristics, entry during distribution, late phase, chasing price higher, entering on declining volume, poor timing relative to the cycle, 5-day gap, different phases. I want it to be a little more specific. This is a little bit more like you're likely, you're probably. I want it to be sure. Can you compare and contrast the composites that formed before both of these trades I took? Be specific.
Would be good to have like a checklist, right? For the trade.
Yeah. This is so interesting that I can do this. Multiple. So this is just something that I've been working on my own, like reflections. Is like when you have multiple days of overlapping value, tight overlapping value, you're likely going to get a better move from a breakout standpoint. If you have like only one day of value, or it's like really wide, like sweeping up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, it's usually a pretty shitty move. Like those are better for like mean reversion setups than actual breakouts.
Really? Did
But
you
it's crazy
where
that it can like.
from where do you have that? Did
Oh,
you?
this is from this balanced composite, multiple
Yeah.
days of overlapping value.
Okay. I never heard
But
about
it's
that.
crazy that it's pulling these prices and it like knows that these were the multiple days of overlapping value.
Yeah, I think you
And it's
can learn
crazy that it
from
knows this
Hustle.
kind of thing too.
You can learn so much because it reviews your trades and it points stuff out you didn't see. And you can't see everything.
Critical contrast. So this is actually what I'm interested in. Volume profile positions. Entry near volume acceptance zone. Entry in low volume area above main distribution. Let's just look. I mean, this is volume down here. These spikes. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is the high volume move. Nice. And then yeah, this is distribution, right? No, this is a sell candle, one big volume, a lot of kind of chopping around. This was an absolute swing fail, and then absolute fart. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean it's right about that. Things that I'm not paying enough attention to these things. This is what I'm in. So, what is an easy way to tell if it is accumulation phase or distribution phase? Be specific. I don't want it to give me like a wishy-washy answer. I want it to be like, this is what's happening. This is a little bit wishy-washy too, like initiative versus responsive activity. Like that doesn't really tell me anything. See what it says about accumulation versus distribution. Volume location analysis. Accumulation. Volume concentrated in lower third of recent range. Okay, that's actually a good insight. Heavy volume on dips, light volume on rallies. Distribution is volume concentrated in upper 1/3 of recent range. Okay, so this actually that's that makes me think of something. You could use or like a volume profile, just really quick, not to jump in and out of things too quickly. This on the left is a visual range volume profile, and after a little bit of time has been spent, you can kind of see this like double distribution right down here. There is the impulse volume, and you're seeing it here too. Honestly, this is probably, this is forming a range right here. These are the lows, these are the highs, and there's a lot of selling up here. So I think until you flip this node, I don't think you can really expect a breakout. The next best thing is probably somewhere down here, is your longing. Once you get a setup that works. But
Yeah.
that kind of makes sense, and I think I need to be using this more, this visual range volume profile. And I mean, you can do this in many different ways. This is the fixed range volume profile. You could take it from here to here, get the same picture, right? Yep, it's literally the same thing. Some people don't like this, but I kind of like it. Instead of having to like draw the fixed range, you can kind of just like get your chart here.
Oh,
This
I
is
like
my
it. I like it a lot. I have it on all my charts actually because I want to
yeah.
see where the
You
volume
inspired
PSC
me.
is. Because
Yeah.
when the breakout, like you have a diagonal breakout, for example, and right the spike to breaking out spikes above the volume PSC. Also, it tended to work out better. Let's say it that way. I don't know why. It just works. It feels like additional confirmation.
No, definitely. I think it's a pretty adaptive tool. I think a lot of people don't like them because it makes the charts a little bit messier, but I think it's nice to have. I think this over here is my fixed range volume profile that I have anchored, or is that what it's called? No, anchored volume profile. I mean, it's all the same shit. Anchored volume profile that I have anchored from some way high time frame region. But this is good if you're like zooming out really far and trying to see which areas might have trouble. But I honestly, what's funny is I really don't use this very much. I look at this much more, um, and candidly, even I'll look at I'll do the one where I draw it just to kind of see what's happening. But yeah, maybe this is just me reflecting. Like maybe I should just delete this, clean up my screen because I don't really look at it ever. Um, but yeah, this has been really interesting. Let's just go back to this and finish reading it. Um, Heavy volume on rallies, light volume on dips. It's all stuff that you've been told, but you just need to listen to more. That's kind of what I'm realizing from reading a lot of this stuff. It's like it's totally correct. I should just take the wisdom and actually do something with it. More time spent at lower prices in the range. Distribution, more time spent at higher prices. Initiative versus responsive.
So you hit on a good point, and that's like trading with bias. Like, how many times do you enter a trade and you have your own bias and like where you think it's going to go? I mean, that's like why you get in trades in the first place. And when things don't go your way, you try to make it go your way. Like and hustle is great at just keeping it honest. Like, like that's why I like using it when I've done my trades is like, you know, you get greedy at the top. I guess I was just telling you, like, I'm trying to push for higher on ETH, and it's like it's distributing. Stop. I'm like, okay, you're right. So like, it's just, I don't know. I think what you just described is like you have your bias, and it's gonna just tell you the fact, and it'll remind you of these other components that you use to trade, and you're like, you're right. I didn't see that. All right, yeah, I should think about that, or maybe that's outweighing this. My favorite thing to do is scenarios with him because in trading things don't always go your way. So like the probabilities, like today, is it going to go? Like what's the chances you think it'll go back to 120K today? You know, and if it does, what are we looking for at that point in time? You know, another reclaim and pushing higher. Like so, I like to kind of talk through it. So when I see the price at these levels, I'm not panicking. So when I saw 117 today, I've talked to him about that price for quite some time. So I felt like, oh, there's 117. It wasn't like pure panic mode today of like, oh my gosh, what's happening in the market? Um, so I think the more scenarios and probabilities you guys see that he provides, the more you'll have in your head for when the day-to-day price action comes. And when you see these things, you're like, oh, that's one of my levels. Like, let's talk to him. Let's see, like, okay, hit this. What do you think is going to happen next? His probabilities always help so much through that. Well, it's a 60% probability you're going to go here. So I leverage him a lot in those aspects of where I feel like my emotions are taking over, and I just need to talk to someone about something. So he's like a therapist in trading.
Dude, it's so true. I mean, everything you just said, but like, look how good this is. I mean, this answer is is so useful. Just telling him to be specific. I'm just reading this. This is incredible. Like, bottom line, if you can check only one thing, look where the volume is concentrated. Having heavy volume at the lows is accumulation, heavy volume at the highs is distribution. I mean, look,
Well,
that's
yeah.
it may sound so simple, but honest to God, this would probably fix a lot of traders. Like, this is just it's so true, and I love the way it's thinking. The 60-second test. Look at your chart and ask, where is most volume? Bottom accumulation, top distribution. Where does price spend most time? Lower accumulation, higher distribution. What breaks easier? Support breaks distribution, resistance breaks accumulation. Wow. Interesting. Interesting. Um, is there anything else we should ask it, Mav, that you found useful?
I think
Sorry, I was
that's
on
all.
mute.
Yeah.
Like in trading, like I think the best thing for you, for anyone who's using it is like you have your own style, but like ask him just how we started. Like, what would you do for Solana? And then pick it away with your style. So like, oh well, I'm concerned about this, or I was actually thinking this, and he can kind of like talk through it with you. Like, well, it's a low probability you're going to get that. Like, this is here's my thinking on why you're going to hit this target. So um, the other beauty of this is that you don't have to be a good trader either. So like, we all come in with our trading bias because like that's how we were taught. But if I've never traded in my life, look at that soul log he just gave us. Like if I've never traded in my life,
Yeah.
like he gave you a stop loss, he gave you like what people pay probably a paid group for, is that long setup. And he just like, here you go. Like Solana's probably going to go to the 200s and hit those targets, and we're going to look back and be like, that was like a perfect setup. And I didn't have to know anything about trading, you know, and I just like asked, he just gave it to me, and I just set those things. I'll set my take profits, and that's it. The thing that I think clouds judgment in trading is because we've been through it so many times that like we start interacting with it. Oh, I don't know about this level. I think I'm gonna change this.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm gonna move my stop loss. And it's just, yeah, like I think that's where we interact. But from like his perspective, it's just this is it. I know Uncle Jay's on. I don't want to like put you on the spot, but if you want to talk, I know you've been actually like trading with this thing too. So I don't know if you've had success, or I've seen some of your stuff like posted on Twitter that like you've done well trading with Hustle. But you know, if you wanted
Yeah, I mean,
to, no pressure.
no, it's not a problem at all. I'm loving watching the stream because how Computer Brain's been going through this. That's kind of how I've been doing it I mean, I use different indicators than him, but the same thing where I'm screenshotting everything, looking at multiple time frames, and then dialoguing with it, and then having it run through good or bad trades or whatever. I'm only still using like $10 to $20 at a time with these, but I'm really trying to get good at it. My win rate so far has been like, 55, 60% with it, with these small amounts. I have gotten stopped out a few times and took some bad trades and stuff, but overall, it's been a great experience for me to learn.
I love that. That's awesome. What have you
And
found
so
it's
I'm
really
just,
good at, and what have you found that it's kind of sometimes inaccurate at?
well, I actually think I was trying to, because I've been using the RSI and Bollinger Bands and stuff like that, and I was asking it questions about it, and then it dawned on me that where is it getting its data from? And then I think it only gets it from some sort of like daily average. I don't know where it was, CoinGecko or Bird Eye
Yeah,
or something,
CoinGecko or
or whatever.
CoinMarket.
But it's not
Fine.
like for like these really low time frame scalps that I kind of like to try to play. You almost need something that's like even faster somehow to catch it,
Yeah,
or like it won't actually calculate the RSI based on what you have on your chart unless you give it a screenshot. And sometimes for those low time frame plays, it seems like it's almost not enough time because they can shift so fast on the 5 minute. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They're trying to get like more trades, but it still is super helpful at defining levels and kind of keeping you in check, as Mav said too, like when you're overdoing it.
yeah. I think that's well said. Yeah, it's good to know about the data feed. So yeah, that's probably even more reason to send it screenshots. Because then obviously that's the live snap of what's going on. So I'll do that moving forward. I think if I'm gonna keep doing this, which I definitely plan on doing. Um, nice, man. I'm glad you're having some success. That's great. I know
And
I
then
know
another thing,
I know you've been working hard.
no, I appreciate it. Well, there is one other thing. What I do sometimes with, if it's a decent trade, I know it's not always the same setup, but then I'll ask, kind of what you did, like what went right, what went wrong, and if it was good, like, is there a way we maybe could make a prompt looking for a very similar setup? And then you could have it create a prompt for you and just create an alias for it and save it and try that prompt as an experiment, like on something else.
Can you save prompts? Is that a thing, or is it just kind of like you
Well,
can
actually, what you do is what I do is you can put something into Hustle, like, have it make whatever what that on your screen now says or whatever, and say, is there a way we could make this into a prompt? And then you could say, call it whatever, and then I just use like all capital letters or whatever. You could be like whatever,
Yeah,
volume
to
weighted
Jay's
or
point.
whatever, all or something.
Yeah, like for what you guys would do it for is your volume analysis, your 60-day cycle. So as he discusses those things and as you influence him in those areas, create a prompt and say, when I want to talk about my volume, computer brain's volume or whatever you want to call it, then he'll remember all the stuff around that discussion and the volume, and he'll give you insight on it based upon that. So like here's a long, but like now let's do that volume prompt, and then he'll kind of go through it with it.
Okay, so it remembers.
So
That's
you don't have to
helpful.
like retype, the same question over and over again.
Yeah,
You create like a prompt and you just have them remember it, but like around those specific things that you guys trade with is like that's how I use mine.
hell yeah.
And Uncle Jay's right, like the success, like if we hit the Solana trade, because I was just pointing on that one, it's successful. Come back and tell them like, so from like the memory we looked at this Solana trade, we actually hit these targets. We actually maybe went higher or whatever. Like talk to it, like, and have him review it, and then have him kind of like discuss like what went well, what he would have done differently, what you would have done differently, all that kind of stuff. Those are always good. I mean, like you were just doing earlier, like going back on your Pepe trade, like I get to review those kind of like wins and losses, but with Hustle. It's like
Yeah,
he's like just keeps it, and it flows into like the little hustle that you've created specific to you and your trading, and he like knows my weaknesses. Like he knows what I'm like terrible at. Like,
He's like, you did it
you know,
again, Mav.
yeah, calls me out. Like,
Why did you do it?
stop pushing for higher targets.
Oh, that's so good.
It is
No,
good to keep you in check, though. I mean, it
Yeah.
is because it applies that machine logic to things that takes the emotions out of it.
Yeah.
And also, like, I feel like for the review phase, I feel like sometimes if you're like, holy crap, I have no idea why that didn't work, it might be able to point out things that you didn't think of or see. Because everyone's had that feeling
Oh,
where they're
for
like,
sure.
they're like, why the hell didn't that work? That usually works. You know, that's my setup. Blah blah blah. Everyone's been there, right? So I'm excited to
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of use it for those days.
Now, it will be nice when the conditional trading is up where you actually can get some of the more complex, like real-time data that I was talking about before, like real-time RSIs or whatever, so that they could have multiple, like buys and sells based on multiple triggers, not just price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'll be. I mean, wow, that's I know what you mean. Where it's like, oh, if RSI is doing this, and if volume is doing this, and if the
Yeah, so
composite
you
is
have
doing
this
this,
multiple
yeah.
confluence points, I guess,
I
across
mean,
time frames for a certain buy.
that's
But I'm
literally
sure
what
that's
one-to-one
coming and
trading
people will
is.
be building it.
Yeah, I mean that is really really incredible if they can pull that off. Um, Mav, Max, anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm happy to pull up anything or let you guys pull up stuff or
No,
uh, we
I
can end the
will
stream.
make it a habit now to try to ask Hustle on opinions when I see something and try to validate my traits with him or invalidate them, and want to document my learning journey with Hustle and how my prompts will develop in the next 2 weeks. Um, so because I'm searching for setups every day between the hours, um, I think I will use it a lot in the next 2 weeks and then just see what is what is the best thing about it. Where do I either save money or make more money using it? I think that I want to just give me that challenge. I didn't use it too much for regular trading, but now I can and should. Um, Other than
Yeah, that's
that,
kind of how I feel, Max. I'm like, I've used it, and obviously, like we're a group that does a lot of hustle stuff. Some might even say we're we're like the hustle group, but I'm definitely going to use it more and more and more. I mean, I've used it in the trenches probably more than I've used it for perps, but like after testing it against ChatGPT and Grok, there does seem to be like an edge by using it.
just because of the vector database they already acquired due to partnerships, they have the direct live market data, and he knows from what you're speaking about. It's great. You don't have to explain and push for push. Use the live data. Use the data from today. You don't use
Yeah.
last week's data. That sucks on ChatGPT. And
Oh my God,
also,
yeah, it's like Bitcoin $60,000. I'm like,
yeah,
dude, I
dude,
wish.
it's not. Exactly. So I think Hustle is now really, they build a product, it works, and I want to try to use it. Everybody uses AI in every business sector today to get better, to get faster, and now we can use it in trading. And I feel like I didn't integrate it in my trading style so far at all. I'm still lagging behind this technology on that sector. And yeah, I think Hassel did a great job. Everything looks beautiful, everything works. It's also fast if you think from the earning perspective from Hassel. They
Oh, it's so fast. It's crazy.
response time is
The
great.
quality is the best and it's the fastest. So they're I don't know how they do that, but yeah, it's nice.